Yeah, we really are just chopping away at this course, aren't we? I assume if you're watching this, you did your homework on the last 3 lessons. If not, you already know what I'm gonna say. You made the commitment, we did this together to focus on your future going into this program. Have you lived up to your oath you took so far? Because again, every time you prove that affirmation you are or aren't saying correctly or incorrectly, the pathway is strengthened or torn toward a different identity. Your success is literally then based on how you are wired at the moment and how you are continuing to wire yourself. It should scare you, but if you're doing everything right, should also inspire you, should motivate you. In the last lesson, we broke down the wealth mindset, how the rich think, how they buy back their time, and how they move differently from the 99%. But here's the truth. None of that matters if you cannot execute. None of that matters if you keep getting distracted. None of that matters if you don't have the discipline to follow through. Because at the end of the day, the biggest difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't intelligence. It's not luck. It's focus. It's discipline. Because if you can't control your mind, you'll never control your results. Remember that thermostat lottery winner example? How are you going to control what you get and keep it if you can't control the person that is getting it? That's a way bigger level of discipline that you will need. It's crazy at that point. You can travel where you want. You get access to any resources you want. You can do crazy effed up things to your life if you don't build the discipline early on. And I've seen this happen to a lot of friends. So please be careful when starting and continuing this journey. Be disciplined the whole way, and you are building a safety net. As always, I gotta hit you guys with a story. A young samurai approaches a master swordsman. "How long will it take for me to be a master?" he asks. The swordsman replies, 10 years. The young warrior insists, "What if I train twice as hard? What if I push myself harder than anyone else?" The swordsman pauses, then replies, 20 years. The lesson, mastery isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, but with ruthless precision. Most people fail not because they don't work hard, but because they spread their energy too thin. They chase too many opportunities instead of going all in on one. I have done this so many times that it hurts me to talk about. You know, I could dive into a little bit of real estate while I'm mastering wholesaling and sales, while I'm trying to do this consulting business, while I'm doing this ad agency. All of these things that are distracting my connections in my mind from being focused on one identity. I guarantee you've done it too. Chasing too many opportunities instead of going all in. It's a natural survival mechanism. We want to diversify to create multiple nets to latch onto. But I'll tell you, compounding and rapid growth doesn't happen when you're spread too thin, because nothing actually gets enough sustenance to make it to a higher level. People keep jumping from one project to the next instead of mastering their craft. You have the opportunity to beat everyone because everyone is more distracted than they ever have been. Social media is promoting things like crazy, crypto, meme coins, this random bullshit NFT thing that lasted for a few months, stocks, e-commerce, all these different avenues that people keep getting shiny object syndrome focus. But you can choose not to and will be exponentially further ahead than any of these people. Even myself at some point has fallen victim to this. If you want the biggest success tip, maybe in this entire course, that is it. Once you get to a high enough level of wealth, you see people doing wild stuff, going on meditation retreats, start practicing mindfulness, taking walks and sitting by the beach and doing these quiet activities. It's not just some cheesy mindfulness crap that is not meant to help you. There's an actual purpose. Quieting your mind is how you focus and get feedback on the connections you are building or not building and help you put more focus in certain areas. Also, where the creatives like Steve Jobs, the best out there, can put their creativity to work. The most disciplined people in the world aren't forcing themselves to work hard every day. They use their discipline to build systems so that success seems automatic and that they are working on it every day. They don't try to be disciplined. Having discipline allows them to eliminate distractions. They don't force themselves to focus. They make it impossible for distractions to affect them. In my case, getting started, that was getting my Xbox out of the apartment. If you have to convince yourself, which you might at the beginning, to work every day, then your system is somewhat broken. You need to use what little motivation and discipline you have getting started to build a life where focus becomes really the only answer. The problem is sometimes we live in bad environments like college dorms or noisy households or bad roommate situationships where we get into issues that can pull us away from our actual focus. People inviting you out to drink, to you know, smoke weed, to do whatever you guys are gonna do in your free time that y'all kids are doing nowadays. And every time, as much as they think they're inviting you out and being the good guy, they're really hurting you because you have to make that decision. But you can make the right decision and actually help yourself. The problem is, I just have a high likelihood of saying yes a lot of times because I like to be that person for other people. So I'd rather just not have the opportunity arouse me to begin with. Here's the 3-step process for unbreakable discipline. If I haven't explained this before, I'm gonna do it again. Discipline and motivation are related, right? Think of it as if motivation is supplementing what your discipline cannot get you in terms of productivity. If you build your discipline over time, you won't have to need motivation. Motivation can be the extra credit, and those will be the days you kick ass and can actually feel good and enjoy it. But first, we have to destroy these emotional triggers, and so we can be logical and based on this systematic process. First, destroy the distractions at the very deep core root. Distraction isn't a lack of focus, it's a habit. If your phone, social media, or emails are always pulling you away, you don't need more discipline. You just need to fix your fucking environment. Delete time-wasting apps from your phone. It's that simple. Just do a quick purge. Turn off notifications. All my notifications are off filming this video. I'm in focus or work mode, even if it's 10 p.m. at night. My success is not dependent on having real-time replies to everybody that needs me. Finally, create the best deep work zone for you. No phone, no interruptions, just you and the work. What you allow into your environment determines your ability to focus. If you don't believe me, buy a new Xbox, a new Nintendo, Switch, whatever it's gonna be, and just see how your productivity changes. Step 2, build a system that forces you to execute. The most successful people remove their ability to fail. If you rely on willpower, you will lose. If you rely on structure, you'll win. If you're not using Google Calendar or the Motion app like I use, then you need to invest in a good planner. Write it down if you have to, or just schedule it on the app, whatever works the best for you. Figure out the most important tasks, as we talked about in the last lesson, the highest leverage thing to focus on, and make that an uninterrupted work period. Schedule your most important work for that uninterrupted time block that you know nothing will affect you. Turn off your phone going into the environment, put it out of the room if you have to, and let everyone know that you will be distraction-free for the next 90 minutes, whatever it's gonna be. Eventually, people will start to understand. You don't have to explain it every time, as long as you're consistent enough. Next, rely on external accountability. I'm literally giving you an entire community for this. Tell somebody what you're going to accomplish today. I guarantee somebody in our community, even me personally, will respond to you and let you know that we're tracking. Somebody will care because they want other people to care about them. So just send the message. If I see it, I'll get back to you. Anybody else will definitely help you out. And third, stack habits together. Tie new habits to existing ones to make them also automatic. For example, I wasn't big at using the mouth picker floss things. I would just use floss irregularly or just brush really deeply. So I started putting the little floss picks next to the toothbrush, so when I picked up the toothbrush, in my other hand I'd have a floss pick and I'd just be kind of going over both at the same time, or whenever I took the toothbrush out, I'd have a floss pick ready to start going through my teeth. And naturally, I now do that every night just because I paired it with something I'm already doing every night, and hopefully you guys are too. Let's talk about the 1% rule. Most people fail because they see the video on TikTok, the people driving the Ferrari, the McLaren, the Lamborghini, the 911, and they decide to get overwhelmed. They think you have to do that in 3 to 6 months. Anybody that's telling you they did it in 6 months is an amazing outlier, okay? I wouldn't even expect to do it in 6 months. I wouldn't even expect to do it in 3 to 6 years. Maybe it takes 10 to 15 years for you to get to that point. A lot of the people you see that are doing it at 25 either rented it or they started at 12 years old. Don't get in your head and don't get overwhelmed. The fear of missing out, of not having it today, is not going to kill you, but it will if you stay in that mindset forever, instead of thinking like the person we programmed you to be earlier in this module. The 1% rule is simple. If you improve 1% every day, your results will compound significantly. Just find a way to get that 1 to 2% improvement. Write one more paragraph on your website. Make one more sales call before bed when you didn't think you could. The best and simplest way is do one more rep at the gym. If you're not working out, please start working out now, because that is a huge thing related to our success. But it's an easy way to build that discipline and remind yourself you're a little bit more capable than you think you are. The difference between winners and losers can be as small as that 1% difference, just compounded massively over time. If I made 1% more money than you did on the stock market every single day, then by the time 5 years from now happens, I could have millions or even billions of dollars. Do not overlook that fact. Let's summarize from this lesson. If you want to build something great, you need relentless focus. If you want to succeed in business, content, or wealth, you need ruthless discipline. Stop waiting for motivation. Build a system that forces execution. Eliminate distractions before they eliminate your potential. Stack the small wins and let the momentum take over time, instead of focusing on that massive end result that will never seem doable. Because here's the truth, you rise to the level of your motivations on the best days, and on the worst, you fall to the level of your systems and your discipline. So make sure that lowest level is as high as possible. And if that lowest level is in your control, then make that as high as possible and you're still growing. Here are your action steps. First, I want you to audit your distractions. Take your piece of paper, take your notes, whatever it's gonna be, and start categorizing. In your head, are these things nuisances or are they actual full-blown distractions that affect me regularly? The biggest one is gonna be notifications on your phone. Now there's two things you can do about that. You can put your phone in focus mode or silent mode, but what I would do even more permanently is delete the apps that you don't need and then go into settings and turn off banners, icons, sounds, widgets, all these tiny notification bells that keep you glued to thinking you need to see what's going on the outer world. When you don't have the pings going off or the phone flashing brighter for you to check it, you are subconsciously reminding yourself that you own the time and not your phone. So go through and do this for at least 10 apps if you can. And for all distractions that you note in your life, find one remedy for each one. The Xbox, put it in a different closet, put it in a different room, get it out of your workspace. The junk food, put it in a high cabinet or throw it away if you can. Action 2, have a scheduled deep work time. Block the most high leverage task of the day into this deep work time. I would prefer 2 hours, but if you can't do 2 hours, as much as you can, at least 30 minutes if you can squeeze it every single day with no distractions and your phone in a different room. Obviously, if your phone is tied to this task, feel free to use it, but only for what you need. And third, commit to this 1% rule. Choose one small habit to improve every day 1% and track it. The easiest one I would say is actually fitness and working out, because you can see the reps and sets you're doing, journal them, and see how you're building more discipline. It doesn't have to be directly tied to the business. As long as you're improving and your mindset is getting stronger, then that's all we care about. So if you're already working out and you're already tracking that, you don't have to do anything. Too many people assume setbacks mean failures, but the truth is resilience is our ultimate weapon. Moving into this next lesson, we're gonna do something important. I'm gonna show you how to actually reframe failure. We talked about that before, how to take what we would call the lies of our previous identity and prove them wrong. But now I'm gonna show you how to flip seemingly bad beliefs on their heels and reframe pressure, to handle pressure like the elite and to be unfazed, like that Thomas Shelby or James Bond character. Because no matter how focused or determined you are, if you can't handle setbacks, you're never gonna last. Stay up to date with this homework and all the ones before this lesson, and I'll see you there. It's time to build a mind that never breaks.